Hey everybody, Mungo Dark Matter here, and welcome. Today I thought I'd talk about Elvis, because really, who doesn't like Elvis? I like Elvis. Everybody likes Elvis a little bit. He was a nice guy. He'd give away Cadillacs. How can you not like somebody like that? Now the question is, would there be an Elvis if there was a Facebook and a YouTube back in 1954? 1954 was the year that Elvis was discovered. And the music business was a little bit different back then. Back then, you would have to make like a demo. Maybe somebody would give you a record contract, and somebody would manage you, and they kind of publicize you. So there was, in a sense, a lot of competition to get the contract and get the record recording. But once you got to that point, the competition, although it was good, it was a little bit less because you'd be competing with other people who were being recorded as opposed to like everybody. Now, with the internet and YouTube, any singer or rock band can start to put up videos and start to build a fan base for themselves without having to have a manager or a contract or anything like that. And so that's great. You would think that's an advantage, and it is probably for some people. But the problem is there are so many people out there producing videos, and there are a lot of good bands. And so now you're in competition with everyone, whereas before you were in competition with everyone, then you got to a level where you were in competition with less people. Now, there's an amazing amount of videos out there, and there are a lot of good groups and a lot of good singers that make videos. In fact, I've seen a lot on the internet when I thought, this person is great, and they don't even have that many views. So it's a lot harder to get recognized, noticed, and popular on the internet, I think, because of the competition. On the good side, of course, anybody has more of a shot, in a sense. So if you got the talent, perhaps you can make it. Now the question is, what would happen with Elvis? Back in 1954, I don't imagine Elvis was... How do we put this? I don't imagine Elvis was someone... I don't see him as a computer geek in any universe at all, or in any imagined scenario. Would you think Elvis would be a computer nerd? So, and it's probably that I'm thinking, hey, back down in the 50s, someone wouldn't know anything about computers, the internet or whatever. But if it was back then, hey, and Elvis was growing up with it, Elvis might have been a computer whiz, or, man, he would do great on Instagram. He'd do great on Instagram, I bet. Everybody likes Elvis. At any rate, Elvis would have had probably a lot more trouble. Would he have risen to the top? It's hard to tell. Some people think he was destined to be there, so it doesn't really matter if there's an internet or not. He would have made it. But I kind of wonder if the internet was around back in the 50s, who else we would have had? Even if we had Elvis and he was still as popular and everything, would there have been other acts similar? Would there have been other people similar that didn't make it? Or maybe Elvis wouldn't have made it at all, and he would have ended up continuing to be a truck driver, which is what I believe he did. And maybe he would have lived a happier life. He might still be alive to this very day. He would be in his, I think, late 80s now. But still, Elvis maybe might have been still around. Well, some people think he still is. You know what I'm saying? They think he faked his death. The sad thing about Elvis, he seemed like a nice guy, and he had kind of a bad life because the celebrity kind of got to him and the people around him, and he just, money and fame aren't everything. That's what Elvis goes to show. But he was a great guy. He used to give Cadillacs away, as I mentioned. In fact, one time he was sitting in a Cadillac dealership, and he was sitting next to a woman, and they start talking, and she was saying how nice the Cadillacs were, and he goes, yeah, they sure are. And he said, if you were going to get a Cadillac, what color would you get? And the woman told him. And Elvis went ahead and ordered himself and her a Cadillac, and he ordered the Cadillac in the color she wanted. Her Cadillac. I don't know what color he picked for a Cadillac. I'm sure Elvis aficionados would have known what color he would pick, what his favorite color was, but you know what? I have no idea. But anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. I think it's just an interesting thing to think about. Was Elvis destined to be famous no matter what? Or was it the fact that the recording industry was kind of controlled and he had a lucky break and he went really far? there's something to be said that he had a lucky break, and maybe he wouldn't make it on the internet. But I think he was a particular person in a particular place in a particular time, and it just kind of stuck. And he did things other people hadn't done up to that point. And what really gets me to think that he still would have made it even with the internet is a couple of things. One of the things being that he was unique, and he dressed uniquely for the time. And I think he was bold enough at the time to do some of the stuff that he did. He had influences by other people, of course, but I think he was kind of a trailblazer at the time. And the other thing I look at is he's still really popular to this day. I mean, people literally go visit Graceland every year. They make a pilgrimage there. That's their dream, to go to Graceland. That's how crazy it is. And if you want to go by popularity, one thing you really want to look at is how many Elvis impersonators there are. If Elvis wasn't really something, would there really be that many impersonators? He was kind of the first, and that's kind of special in all of our hearts. And there have been others that have been great, good, maybe better in some people's opinion. But he was the first, so he's kind of special for that reason. And man, there are a lot of Elvis impersonators. In fact, within a mile of here, I actually know there's an Elvis impersonator who lives within a mile of here. So I might have, if I didn't know that, I would actually say I bet within a mile of here I could find an Elvis impersonator. And in fact, there is one. I'm Mongo Dark Matter. And whatever you do, enjoy the day. And I will see you next time. Elvis is a legendary singer and rock star. Probably one of the most legendary singers, rock stars of all time, with maybe the exception of the Beatles, and the Beatles idolized him. So how could you get better than that? I don't think you could. Elvis is a legendary singer and rock star, and people to this day go and visit Graceland, and make pilgrimage. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.